Alright. Well, let's continue.
Yeah, I had to vroom vroom speed read through that. I at first because at the beginning it seemed like I was clicking through it because like it was perfectly timed, but then like it went ahead a different page and I missed that bottom line. It's like, oh shit, it's going by itself. Hold up, and then I had to go. I had to turn on my auction seller voice. I guess it's a benefit that I can read pretty fast. It's just a problem, or like also speak pretty fast too if I want to. I just have to like consciously like slow down how I speak sometimes. It's like shit. There's even times where like I'm talking so fast, fucking Cooper can't keep up with me at home. It's funny. Anyways, weariness and a headache. Not a very nice way to start the day. What's wrong, Keiichi? You don't look so well. When did you go to sleep? It seemed that my mom had noticed my sullen state. Yesterday, I kept on walking up in the middle of the night. Without a doubt, I felt a presence. Or waking up in the middle of the night, never mind. I felt the presence of someone standing in front of my door. I told myself repeatedly that it was just my imagination. I forced myself to try and sleep. Except, not being able to stand it, I gathered up my courage and opened the door. Of course, there wasn't anyone there. I think I did this 3 times throughout the night. Or maybe I just didn't remember doing it any more than that. Even though to I was able to get to the breakfast table without incident, I still didn't feel at ease. Uh-oh. It might be a cold. I don't really have an appetite. My, you do seem a little warm. Well, can you make it to school? Technically, I did go to a school, but it was mostly self-study. It wouldn't matter if I missed a day, would it? It could have been that I hadn't been feeling well for the last few days because I really did have a cold. If I took some medicine and got a good day of rest, I might be able to greet everyone with a smile tomorrow. Ding dong. Startled, I looked back and forth between the entrance and the clock. It was 10 minutes later than when I usually met up with Rena. It was Rena. Rena-chan. Oh, Rena-chan came to get you. What are you going to do? Are you going to take the day off? Rena was a good girl. She might be somewhat quirky, but she was certainly cute. The lunches she made were delicious, and she always looked out for me. Should I be so scared of something like that? It wasn't Rena's fault. It was probably mine. It had to have been my cold. It just had to be. I'll rest. Sorry. And I'll go send her off for you. Mom headed off to the door. I would have to pass by the entrance to get back to my room. I didn't have the nerve to meet up with Rena, so wrapped myself in a blanket on the sofa and closed my eyes. I was so sleep deprived I quickly fell into a deep slumber. Sleep is for the weak. I had only intended to lie down for a bit, but it was almost noon when I woke up. I called out to my parents, but they didn't seem to be around. On the table, I found a lunch prepared and a note. Mom and Dad had apparently driven off to somewhere far away. It likely had to do with Dad's work. This happened every so often, so it wasn't that unusual. They would probably be back sometime after dinner. On that note, it said, "The insurance card is in the cabinet. Take it out and go to the hospital." There was also a well-drawn map to the hospital. That's right. I hadn't been there before, so I didn't know exactly where it was. I had a light lunch, although really was just leftovers from the morning. And, just in case, went to the hospital. Normally I'd never be here, in the middle of the weekday. Just walking around like this had me feeling guilty. It was an odd feeling. Following my mom's map, I took a road I usually never used. Walking back for a bit, or walking after walking for a bit, the hospital sign came into view. ERDA Clinic. was written rather stylishly on the sign. The clinic wasn't very big, but based on the scale of the rest of Hinamizawa, it was far too grand. There was a parking lot and even a reserved spot for buses. They must be making a mint. I spaced out in the waiting room until it was my turn to be seen. Ibata-san, can you make your way to the examination room? After properly answering all of the chatty doctor's questions, he responded with the old, "It's probably a cold." He gave me a shot and 3 days worth of medicine. I thought it was a little overboard, but if it would clear away the gloomy feeling I had been having lately, then it was worth it. I settled the bill and took a quick trip to the washroom. As I was leaving, I overheard a conversation between some elderly people who seemed to be regulars at the clinic. Of course, I had no intention of eavesdropping, if it wasn't for that word. It must have been an Onikakushi. I wonder. She was still pretty young. Might have just eloped. With whom? That man from Tokyo who visits every season. That young one with that big camera. Didn't you know they were getting along pretty well? Were they talking about Tomitake-san? I could feel my ears perking up. I don't know about that, but you have to make preparations before you elope. Leave a note or quit their job or something. It's an elopement because they didn't leave a note or message. The thought that I'll never see that young nurse's face again makes me rather sad. Takano-san is an upstanding young woman. Takano-san, that's her name. I fucking forgot it. Yeah, her and Tomitake-san were this year's victims of the Watanagashi. So, they found Tomitake-san's body. He was dead. He clawed out his own throat with his own nails and shit. Seems like he fought off people, but uncertain. And then, yeah. And then she's not been found. She's reported missing. So, yeah. The one dies and one goes missing. Theory still holds up. She'll be fine wherever she goes. So her name was Takano-san? That woman with Tomitake-san? And she worked at this clinic? Oyashiro-sama's shadow is following me everywhere I went. I started listening more closely, but they began talking about fishing, and it didn't really seem like they were going to revisit the topic. I gave up and left. Thus, even though I was separated from the daily monotony of school, I wasn't able to escape from Oyashiro-sama's shadow. But, of course, Oyashiro-sama was the guardian deity of this place, of Hinamizawa. As long as I was in Hinamizawa, I wouldn't be able to escape. Ooh. We gonna run away? Maybe? She's just gonna ignore the fishing talk? Yikes. Nah, he don't need to know how to fish. Unless you're trying to learn how to catfish. Also, although learning how to like catfish, like wrestle or some shit, or you actually go out and catfishing, it's pretty cool. You got like a fucking what's it called, like lake or the river or some shit like that, and you just like pull out the catfish themselves. It's like, what the fuck? Why? Like you gotta like wrangle it and shit. It's weird. But yeah. Also, I noticed that you're trying to use the better feet. Are they showing up for you, or? Yeah, they just follow you around. Because then it's not like showing up on my end. Huh. I have no idea. No, it should be on. Hmm. I'm going to quick save real fast and see if I can load up Twitch on my thing. I don't know, hold on. It doesn't work through the app. I need. Yeah, no, I can do it from the browser on my thing. Huh. I think it's just because I manage my stream through uh, my Streamlabs. Huh. Yeah, because you can see them, right? Or, I'm guessing you're seeing them because you can use them, duh. Huh. I wonder if there's a way for me to be able to do that through Streamlabs, but I don't know. Maybe. I'll worry about that through, after this stream. Alright. Anyways. Maybe it was because I was walking outside, but my appetite had suddenly returned. I might as well buy a snack with the change from the examination fee on the way home. Contemplating that, I turned onto a familiar street. At that moment, I heard a car horn abruptly honk behind me. Was I really walking so far into the middle of the road that I'd be in a car's way? I moved farther off the side, but there was a horn still honking at me. Turned around, peeved. Mayabata-san. Good day to you. It was Oishi-san. He stepped out of his car, AC on full blast, and waved at me. What's up today? School on break? Just not feeling well, so I took off the day. I was about to buy lunch and head back home. Look, this man a creep. A pedo police. Although, or police pedo, I guess would be the correct word if like you being a creep. That's great. I'm just about to get lunch myself. Would you mind going together? Ah, if you're not feeling up for it, then don't mind me. I was just going to lie down after going home anyways. I didn't really have a cold. I doubt you want to eat at one of these local places. Let's go into town. It's a bit of a drive. Is that alright? I know a pretty good place. I finally begun to understand Oishi-san's roundabout way of asking or saying things. He probably wanted to talk to me about stuff that would be difficult to discuss while on Hinamizawa. Oh god. Take him back home and go into that basement, like drop him off. Like, here you go, here you go. I went with Oishi-san, riding in his frigid car. It was almost as if the bright sunlight outside was a lie. I'm sorry about calling you so late last night. Did your parents get angry at you? No. I recalled Rena, who had been listening to the phone conversation all that time, separated by me just by the door, or by just the door. Even now, in the brightness of the sunlight, the thought still creeped me out. With a big bump that jolted the car, the road connecting to the city changed from dirt to pavement. My head swiveled back with a sudden realization. That's right. This was where Tomitaka-san had died. They've hit a snag on the investigation regarding Tomitaka-san. Oishi-san spoke while peering at me from the corner of his eye. To believe that it was caused by hallucinogens, given how he was clawing out his own throat. But a drug that could easily cause that to happen so suddenly, it's extremely hard to come by. Bear in mind, of course, the autopsy was done with that premise in mind, but we didn't find any leads. You know that thing you see in comics all the time? Where there's a drug that, if you put it in them, it doesn't leave any traces? It exists. Do I even want to try to say that? Susanol? Yeah, I'm not even gonna try. Although I kind of want to try it. It's like one of those words where, like, I want to try to pronounce it, but, like, at the same time, it's like I know I'm gonna fuck it up. Yeah, suck. Succinicol? Succinical. I have no idea. Or something or the other. Well, it's pretty common. But you see, there doesn't seem to be any kind of drug that would cause Tomitaka-san to react like that. Then you're saying the police concluded Tomitaka-san just died from the curse? I couldn't help but feel that the police were worthless. I just wanted the idea of a curse to be disassociated from Tomitaka-san's mysterious death. Sucking alcohol. I mean, you got the straw, then yeah. Unfortunately, that's how it looks right now. But putting aside the cause of death, without a doubt he was surrounded by a group of people that had taken a beating before he died. That was no curse, but an incident that unquestionably involved other humans. That made me a bit relieved. We passed in front of the rather desolate but still busier than Hinamizawa train station. The car pulled into a restaurant parking lot, and I followed Oishi-san into the shop. It was pretty crowded, but there was only adults at this hour. Of course there wouldn't be children in here in the middle of the weekday. 2, please. Non-smoking. This way, please. When you are ready to order, please call me over. We were led by a peculiarly dressed waitress to our table. I sat with Oishi-san in the booth. So, what do you think? Aren't the waitress's outfits here cute? Huh? Well, I guess? This shop is always quite busy. It's more about the waitresses than the food, you see. Uh-huh. Oishi-san, you're leering. Hmm? Am I really? Yeah, he may be a creep. Regardless of how the waitresses looked, the food was decent enough. Finishing our meals while talking about some inane topic, Oishi-san's after-meal cup of coffee arrived at the table. Yesterday, we talked about Hinamizawa's past, didn't we? Yeah. That it was the village of man-eating demons, or something like that. Oh yeah, that's right, I forgot to mention that. Yeah, apparently, like, back in the day, the village was referred to as, like, a demon's village, or where, like, they'd come down to another village and, like, feed upon the humans there. And that's where, like, oh yeah, Shiro-sama came from, or something like that. I didn't know much about it myself, so I asked my grandmother about it this morning. She took out the notepad that was stuffed into his breast pocket. Turns out that Hinamizawa used to be called the Onigafuchi, or Ogre's Abyss. Onigafuchi. That's quite the name. The name is still around. The marsh where the Shinto priest's wife drowned herself in is called Ogre's Abyss. It's said that the depths of the marsh connect to the realm of demons. Of course, nobody had told me anything about such an ominous marsh. And, you see, It appears they were both feared and revered. A respect born of fear. I guess you could say it was a kind of deification. A village of inhuman creatures. Seems the demons were seinen or mountain-dwelling mystics of sorts, or seinen. Taking villagers with incurable illnesses into the ogre's abyss and healing them, for example. Even if we were calling them demons, Tengu long-nosed goblins or seinen would be a more apt description. They don't seem like such terrible people, even though they were called demons. But they were still man-eating demons, according to the story my grandma told me. As payment for treating the son's illness, let us eat your mother who brought him here, was apparently how things went. The price of curing her son was herself? That's unsettling. Of course the mother took her son and ran. Then, you see, all of the people who lived in Onigatsuchi, the demons chased them down, rounding them up and captured them. See, this is why you make a deal with the devil. Not, like, half-ass do it, you know? The entire village, apparently. That's quite a frightening thing to imagine. In the end, it seems both the mother and the son were caught and eaten. The end. There's a problem with this story. Both witnesses in the story were eaten, so nobody would be able to tell the tale. Huh? There are plenty of old fables like this. In contrast to the ghastly tale, Oishi-san's laughed heartedly while sipping his coffee. But, well, there are quite a few other tales, where the demons from Onigatsuchi band together to capture their prey. I recall that Mion said all the villagers united and fought against the dam construction. I saw similarities with how that part about unification overlapped. Normally they hunted down a single person, and they chose who it was going to be beforehand. Huh? That caught my attention. Oishi-san also appeared to be pondering what it meant. My grandmother told me that you must never interfere with the demon's hunt. You should just hole up in your house and hide under the covers, she said. So what does all this mean? It means you mustn't ever help or protect the prey. As long as you don't disturb the demon's hunt, no harm will fall upon the villagers. It seems there's that kind of rule. Basically, don't help the victims. Pretend you didn't see the atrocities, in other words. Turn a blind eye, huh? That kind of reminds me of, like, the tale of, like, the IRL tale of, like, what's it called? Like, the, well, the Demon's Hunt, I think, is actually what it's called. It's like a widespread thing in like mythology where there's like a night where like either demons or spirits go out and like hunt down or some shit like that. I mean, there's a overly sarcastic productions video on it that I watched recently. They just put it out. It's pretty good. That's kind of what this reminds me of, like that little tale, like what he had said about holding up in the house and hiding under covers and shit like that. It was like, reminded me of that. So I wonder if that was an inspiration for this shit, to like anything, or if like this was all like based off like anything from Japan or some shit. I don't know. I love it though. I fucking love this shit. Like just like mythology and like folk tales and fairy tales and shit like that. It's interesting. But what happens if you break the rule? Well, they're man-eating demons after all. Many parts of that tale caught my attention. Parts of the story he told me overlapped with his theory that the perpetrators were all the village families. Even if it wasn't the whole village, it was conceivable that the villagers were hiding under the covers and leaving them to die, when there's a group that was on their hunt, wasn't it? I didn't dare speak it. Then, Oishi-san, I guess it looks like it's either the village families or a group of villagers perpetrating the crimes? What do you think, Mayabata-san? Ah, excuse me. Another cup of coffee, please. That's what I wanted to know. It seemed that we were both waiting for the other to say that last part. I waited for the waitress to finish pouring coffee before speaking. Last year, I had a nagging feeling when Satoshi-kun disappeared. Oishi-san muttered as he watched the milk swirl around in his coffee. So those friends of Satoshi-san's, meaning your group of friends, Mayabata-san. I had a bit, really, just a little bit, okay, of background checking done on them. If Oishi-san had said this to me before, I would have been furious, since he told me earlier not to suspect my friends. But, as I was now, I couldn't. This might sound pretty stupid, Mayabata-san. If you feel that it's stupid, please say so. I'll just stop. Oishi-san was wearing the most serious expression that I'd ever seen from him. It was as if he was telling me to prepare myself and listen. There were quite a few things I regretted hearing from Oishi-san, but none of them were as threatening as this. A little voice inside me was screaming like an alarm. Stop, Keiichi. This was probably the last one. I took a deep breath and silenced that voice. I would not run from the truth. Please. That was all I could utter. Oishi-san stared into my eyes silently for a few moments. After he was certain I was ready, he began. The victim of the incident in the first year was the overseer. A few weeks prior, he had an altercation with Mion Sonizaki-san. Multiple altercations. Oishi-san had said before that Mion had defied the dam project vehemently. Well, it wasn't hard to imagine how she'd be if she got worked up. In the second year, the married couple who supported the project died in that accident, right? They had a daughter. Her name is Satoko Hojo-san. Huh? Satoko meaning Satoko? Oishi-san's look told me that my voice was too loud. I realized it as well and quickly quieted down. Ooh. The Shinto priest and his wife died in the third year, you see. Their daughter is Rika Furude-san. Rika-chan was the housewife who died in the fourth year was, you know already, don't you? It was the step-aunt of Satoko Hojo. She was in her aunt and uncle's custody, and she had lost both her parents in the accident. She lived in the victim's house. I could tell my lips were getting dry. I didn't even have the wits to keep my mouth from hanging agape. I had thought it was nothing but a bizarre incident, one that I could easily distance myself from. But, clicking and clacking, it had snuck all the way to my feet. The one who disappeared the fourth year, by the way, he was Satoko's son's older brother. Huh? What? Just wait. What? It took everything I had to finally say that. I gulped down a glass of water and once again wiped my face with a napkin. Calm down, Keiichi Marabata. But Oishi-san was relentless. Instead of waiting for me to finish sorting out my feelings, he started speaking again. The last of the things I should have heard. All of the victims seem to be connected to your group of friends. Ooh, okay. So, let me get this straight in my head. Right? So, the dam project manager, overseer, whatever, had altercations with Mion Sonizaki, right? Then he dies. Next one, the two people that fell off the cliff, one dying, one seemingly vanished, that was Satoko's parents. The next year, the priest and the wife was Rika's parents. Then, so Satoko lives with her aunt and uncle, and apparently she's got an older brother too, right? They're living with them. The aunt gets killed, and Satoko's older brother is the one that goes missing. And then we don't know what happens with the uncle right now, but seemingly he's not here because Rika and Satoko live together. And then no, that was the previous year. The year before that, wait, no, I think that was all of them, right? Because there was only 4 before. So it was the Mio and Sonozaki, then Satoko's parents, then Rika's parents, then... Yeah, that was 4. Okay, yeah. I had it all straight in my head. That has to just be a coincidence. So far, the only one of the friends that aren't connected to any of these is Rena, right? Because she wasn't mentioned. By Abada-san, keep it down. Everyone's looking. Leon? Satoko? Rika-chan? So if they're connected. You're telling me all of my friends? It couldn't be. It just couldn't be. Oh, Rena is different, isn't she? Rena isn't connected with the victims at all. Rena Rugu was living in a suburb of Ibaraki Prefecture up until last year. Well, it's true she hadn't directly met any of the victims. He said it in a roundabout way. Is he saying she's also connected? Actually, I looked into her. Before Ryugu-san moved away to Hinamizawa, she was suspended from school. It seems she went through her school building and broke all of the windows. Rena did that? She broke all of the windows at her school? That same silly Rena had? I couldn't even imagine it. It seemed that after her 3-day suspension, she didn't return to school. She went to a neurologist and was diagnosed with dysautonomia? However the fuck you say that. She was given weeks of counseling and medication. I wonder if it was something like a nervous breakdown. I had heard that it happened to people who were really methodical or overly sensitive. Neither of those matched Rena's easygoing personality. And in the counselor's medical report, he recorded all the conversations he had with Rena-san. It shows up. And quite a bit of that. What did? I pressed forward carelessly. Ooh, I also like how there's no music right now either. It gives that nice spooky little feeling. There couldn't be any more for me to regret. She mentioned the word Oyashiro-sama. Ooh. But how does she know about that? It felt like someone's stone-cold hand was caressing my back. Why had Rena spoken of Oyashiro-sama before she even came to Hinamizawa? Seemed that Oyashiro-sama she spoke of was like a ghost, appearing in her house every night. Standing over her pillow, looking down at her. My mind froze. I couldn't process what I was being told. After all, a while after that, she moved to Hinamizawa. Ah, that's right. She's not an outsider. Huh? According to their residency register, the Ryugu family used to reside in Hinamizawa. Rena-san moved to Ibaraki right after she finished elementary school. My mind went completely blank. It was similar to the static you'd see on the Blink TV channel. My ears began ringing as I lost all sense of comprehension. Mayabata-san, are you alright? Shall we stop? Those words brought me back. I couldn't let it end here. Now I understand Rena. Then, how about the last victim, Tomitaka-san? Who was he connected with? Irritated, I let out one final reprisal. All of them? Have you forgotten Mayabata-san? Didn't you all spend the night of the festival together quite merrily? Quite a few of the officers saw you enjoying yourselves. Now there was nothing I could respond with. I fell silent as my brain turned to mush. Mushy brain time, let's go. We should get going. Ah, hi, Bada-san. Did you take your afternoon medicine? I had completely forgotten about the medicine I had gotten today until Oishi-san had said that. I got another glass of water, and we left the shop before I chugged it down. We got into the car and returned to Hinamizawa via the rough road. I never really paid attention when I was on my bike, but did cars normally shake this much? It was almost as if the road was desperately trying to tell me something. But that big jolt was from the difference in elevation of the road when it changed from cement to dirt. I was certain that I heard Tomitake-san scream. I sat in silence, just letting myself be shaken by the car. I'll drop you off at your house. You missed school because you were ill, correct? My apologies for the long conversation. Why did you talk to me? I blurted out the question. Really, just blurted it out. I didn't expect an answer. I did check with you first, didn't I? If we should just stop. Not that. Why did you reach out to me? I understood quite well that Oishi-san was investigating the string of suspicious incidents. But why was he telling me all of this? I knew nothing and I couldn't help. Everything Oishi-san spoke of was news to me. First of all, what could I, having just moved here, know? By chance, if there was a reason for Oishi-san to reach out to me, then it would have to be that I looked suspicious to Oishi-san, as I was part of Mion's circle of friends. I'm retiring this year. I plan on moving away after retiring as my grandma wants. So while I'm still on this case, I want to bring the truth behind this incident to light. So, Oishi-san, you suspect them, don't you? All of them? Oishi-san didn't really give a response. It felt a little late, but I thought it was his way of showing a bit of consideration for my feelings. This is mostly my intuition from 30 years on the job. My Bada-san, you're the one in danger. Huh? I wanted to reply with, that was absurd, but my downtrodden state, I couldn't bring myself to say it. I'll be retiring this year, so I won't be at the Watanagashi next year. So I want to settle things. In other words, he was insinuating that on the next Watanagashi I might be the victim. I've been warned by the chief as well. Each incident in the string of cases has been solved, so don't bring it up again. Or so I was told. This is the pressure that I'm facing. Pressure? From what? Someone in Hinamizawa. We've arrived. Is this fine? Ooh. Interesting. After some time, the car finally reached the path of my house. The clock read 2 p.m. I was surprised so little time had passed since we ate. It was hot outside the car. The chirping of the higurashi hurt my ears. I won't mind if you just forgot everything I told you today, but I'm still going to keep investigating. I'll end Yashida-sama's curse this year. So you're saying I should contact you if if anything happens? It's fine. Just contact me when you feel you have to, Mayabata-san. I wasn't collected enough to understand Oishi's roundabout way of saying it. Be sure to take it easy. I'm sorry for throwing all this at you while you're taking the day off because you're sick. I didn't really give any sort of response. I'll always be on your side. If anything, believe that. I'll be off now. The tires crunched over the dirt road as the car made a U-turn and disappeared into a cloud of kicked-up dust. It felt like I was watching a boat only throw me a lifesaver in shark-infested waters before disappearing into the distance. That was the first time I thought Oishi-san was being unfair, telling me I was going to be the next victim, and then just saying to contact him if something happened. This wasn't a criminal investigation. He was fishing. And I was just the bait dangling off the line. Would the fish be the perpetrator? Or was it really just Oyashiro-sama's curse? Either way, the bait would be swallowed whole. Damn it. I don't want to die. For some time, I could do nothing but stare at the puddle of water left behind by the AC from the car. I wonder how much time has passed since I laid down. It was getting dark outside. My body was soaked in sweat. It would probably be a good idea to change my sheets. At that moment, the phone downstairs rang. It was probably Mom. Mom was quite the worrywart. Maybe she had called many times, but I just didn't notice it. How much you want to bet? This is not going to be Mom. Let's find out. Hello, this is Mayabata residence. Oh, he's alive. Hello. This is Mion. Ah, I knew it. How you doing? Is this one of the Keiichi's friends? Keiichi is resting now, but... Shall I put him on? Huh? Is this his dad? Sorry. Idiot! You fell for it. Huh? Keiichi-chan? After our exchange, we both had a good laugh together. Except I was suspicious of her even as we were laughing. Was everybody really involved in the incident? The fact I couldn't say no saddened me. I'm relieved that you seem well. Rena was really worried, you know? Sataka-chan was happy and said you got what you deserved. Rika-chan said how unfortunate he's sick. Looks like everyone was making a big deal out of it. Well, you know. So, Kei-chan, it is now a bad time to come pay you a visit? A visit? No, it's okay. It's not like I'm dying. My grandma made a ton of mochi, you see. I was told to share them. So I'll bring you some. Hey now, you'll catch my cold. Not to worry, both Rena and I are too stupid to catch a cold. What? See you. Be there in a bit. She hung up cheerfully. Rena's coming too? That's what it sounded like. I was still concerned about meeting Rena, but I guess if she was with Mion. I heard the doorbell 10 minutes later. How are you feeling? Did you take your medicine and rest? I did just that. Thank goodness you look well. I was worried. Sorry. I'll be fine by tomorrow. Mion showed a complete lack of concern for someone who's recovering, and Rena looked like she was worried about me from the bottom of her heart. It didn't look like there was anything behind those expressions. I thought we might hang out for a bit, but it looks like you're not quite in the condition for it. You don't say? It seemed my face appeared a bit sullen. Then here, Keiichi-kun. These are the mochi Mi-chan's grandma made. Then I held out the package wrapped in newspaper. There might be about like 5 in here. It was quite hefty. Ah, thanks. Send my regards to your grandma, Mion. Yep. Ah, there's one thing I made in there as well. Or there's one that I made in there as well. I wonder if Keiichi-kun can guess which one. This is Kei-chan's homework since he missed the club meeting today. There are letters on each mochi, so I'll ask you tomorrow. Were you checking if I was feeling better, or did you just come here for club activities? Yep, looking fine. Guess you'll be able to make it tomorrow. Man, what are you going to do if my fever comes back because of your shenanigans? Me-chan, we shouldn't be making such a racket. Let's go. The other people here will get angry. Both of them thought my parents were home. It was because the entranceway was a mess. You're right, let's get going. Ah, by the way, Kei-chan. Yeah? Ooh. Ooh! What did you eat for lunch? These sudden questions startled me and I went wide-eyed when I saw Mion. Ooh, she's got the eyes! She's got the eyes! I've never seen her like that. It was a highly unsettling visage. I want to see. What does that look like in the original art? Not that great. Okay. I was just curious if, like, how different it looked. But why is she asking me about that? About what I ate for lunch? What she said was so inane, it was almost meaningless. The way she said it, it was almost like she didn't even care at all about what I ate. I ate out? She must have suspected I was with Oishi's son. Anyway, I felt that I hesitated or tried to change the subject. Then they'd read too deep into it, so I tried answering as quickly as possible. Except, contrary to the efforts I made, there was a pause before they replied. Ooh, Rena's eye's gone too. So you ate out for lunch, Keiichi? The glimmer from Rena's eyes had changed at some point as well. It was now sharp, as if to make me feel the feigned ignorance behind their words even more. As if she already knew. That's how it looks to me. Well, was it good? Why are you asking me this? Mion was speaking in an unusually low tone, almost as if she knew that I'd eaten at the restaurant in town. No, I've got to be overthinking this. I mean, both of them should have been in school at lunchtime. There was no way they could have known where I was. Seems you were quite a rather austere-looking older guy. Or with a rather austere-looking older guy. Who was he? Flop. The package with the mochi I was holding slipped out of my hands. I could tell the blood had drained from my face, making me go pale. Oh, Keiichi-kun, who was he? Could it be the person from before, I wonder? I could feel the back of my throat going dry. This was no longer a bluff. They knew everything. How do you know that? It took everything I had to finally force those words from my throat. My knees were shaking. Because there's nothing this old man doesn't know. Mion sneered knowingly, and her laugh seemed to carry on forever. So, Kei-chan, what did you talk about? It seems like you got pretty worked up over it, too. We weren't talking about you guys. It didn't have anything to do with you or Lena. Oh, that subtle change. Oh! Oh! Frito, if you're here, I think you should be watching this part. I think you like this stuff, right? Right? It's getting pretty tense. If you're there, Friedel, come look at the cute girls. Isn't it a bit strange to hear our names come up even though nobody asked about that? Rena's unwavering gaze pierced through my eyes and peered further inside me. I dug my own grave. My heart was throbbing so much it felt like it was going to explode. Well, whatever you're trying to hide, this old man already sees through it all. Remember that. Ooh. I couldn't even shake my head. It took everything I had to stop my teeth from chattering. I never let her gaze break from mine, even as she tilted her head slightly. Keiichi-kun, you don't look so good. I think you should lie down. That's true. We should both head back home. Oh. As if nothing had happened, they both giggled at each other and started making their way out. I hadn't moved a muscle since I had dropped the package of mochi. As they left, the door slowly closed behind them. All I could do was stare, as if I couldn't move until the door was completely closed. Just as the door was just about closed, it opened again, slightly with a sudden creak, sending my heart racing once again. A single eye peered through the narrow slit, and Mion's hawkish gaze peered at me once again. See you, Keiichi-tan. Yeah. I'd hate it if you missed school tomorrow, alright? Thud. The door closed. I wasn't able to move a muscle even after the low laughter died off into the distance and silence once again enveloped the room. Coming back to my senses, the first thing I did was lock the door. They knew what Oishi-san and I talked about? Why? How? No, that wasn't important. Thinking about it now, all of it could have been overheard from the beginning when Oishi-san met me. Just as Mion said, I couldn't hide anything. Then, what were they, trying to tell me? That part was obvious. They were warning me not to say anything unnecessary. What did they deem unnecessary? I only talked with Oishi-san about one thing. And they were warning me that that was unnecessary? What was it that Oishi-san talked to me about? The incidents involving Oyashiro-sama's curse that occurred every year weren't individual cases, but were connected as a whole. As well as the fact that there were maybe multiple perpetrators hidden within Hinamizawa. No, more precisely, that Mion, Rena, Satoko, and Rika-chan were all suspicious. Is this what they were warning me against? What kind of nonsense am I thinking about? I hit my own face hard enough that I let out a loud slap. If only that would wake me from this nightmare, but for some reason, I felt like I was punching a blanket. It was almost laughably painless. Calm down, Keiichi Marabara. When did I become such a pessimist? Calm down! Calm down! Settle down and sort things out! The reason Mion knew I was eating lunch with Oishi-san was probably because someone from Hinamizawa just happened to be there at the time. They must have told Mion that I was there. That made the most sense. Plus, come to think of it, she didn't ask me where I ate lunch, did she? She only asked, was it good? They were just curious since I was together with someone not from Hinamizawa. It's not as if they had any ulterior motives, right? That's it. That has to be it. Thinking about it that way, it was the same with Rena. I was just being strangely ambiguous about when I met with Oishi-san, and Rena was just correcting me on that. That's when I was bewildered by the change in character from the usual mild-mannered Rena. I was just startled by it. That's the most natural way of thinking about it. It felt like my mind was mixed up, like a tangle of mess of spaghetti. Deep red marinara sauce would have poured out of my nose and ears if you squeezed my head. Thinking that, I suddenly felt like vomiting. I really didn't want that to happen, so I stopped holding my head. Lately, I had no idea what anyone was saying. Spending time with them was fun. It didn't feel like there was any sort of hidden agenda. I really do think that they're a good bunch of people. When I just moved here and couldn't make heads or tails of everything, they were really kind to me. Rena was really kind and always looked after me, as long as that strange affliction didn't rear its ugly head. She was pretty cute. Mion is also a really good person. She didn't care about anyone's age or gender, and was optimistic and outgoing. I was never bored when I was with her. And talking of not getting bored, rambunctious Satoko was a good person for that too. She was pretty bratty, but that was just the way she interacted with others. Rika-chan was the same way. She didn't speak often, but that didn't mean she she was always silent. They're my friends. But after hearing the better untold secrets of Hinamizawa from Oishi-san and Tomitaka-san, and I was told about Oyashida-sama's curse, things started to get crazy. Then hearing from Oishi-san that Mion, Rena, Satoko, and Rika-chan were all suspicious, after that, everyone changed. That's right. It all started getting weird after Oishi-san told me all that strange stuff. At that time, I really should have just not listened to those weird stories. And I even shouldn't have heard about the past incidents from Tomitaka-san the night of the Watanagashi. If I just hadn't gotten that strange sense of curiosity. If I just hadn't... That's right. So that's why they killed Tomitaka-san. That impotent outsider speaking to the likes of me after everybody went out of their way to keep it a secret from me. They'll probably... Wait. They'll probably kill Oishi-san as well. I'm guessing that's what that means. It's just 3 asterisks. For trying to unearth what everybody was warning me was better left buried. Besides that, it was unforgivable for spewing words that made me doubt the others. Of course, a guy like that is going to be killed. Both Tomitaka-san and Oishi-san were nothing but outsiders after all. They were entities who couldn't coexist with the people of Hinamizawa. Those guys should just fall to Oishi-sama's curse and just die. It wasn't their fault. It was my fault for not being able to hold back my curiosity. It wasn't their fault. 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 I settled into a daze. It was a lethargic feeling like I had just gotten up, but the ominous chill that haunted me had subsided. I was fine now. I was no longer frightened. I had completely recovered. I'll go to school tomorrow, right as rain. I'll greet everyone. I'll take part in club activities. It'll definitely be fun. It had to be fun. I was one of them after all. Ah, that reminds me. I need to eat those mochi. I hope I'm able to tell which one Lana made. I remember the homework the two brought with them when they visited me. But wow, our club did delivery. That was something else. I picked up the package I'd drop on the floor and headed into the living room. It would be nice, I guess, to have some tea with it. To fill my mouth with mochi while drinking tea. Oh, this was quite a delectable situation I was in. Opening up the newspaper wrapping, there were 5 plum red bean paste mochi fit snugly inside. There were letters written from left to right on the newspaper. A, B, C, D, and E. Now then. They said Rena made one of these. I wonder which one. There wasn't much difference in how they looked. They smelled and appeared about the same. This was a pretty difficult problem. The biggest difference was probably their shape. I wasn't sure what kind of person Mion's grandma was, but Rena had to be different from hers. Looking carefully, I could see one of the mochi that was made very neatly. So well, that just by staring at it, one could tell it stood out. Look, or it looks like this challenge depends on whether or not this one is Rena's. Calm down and think even harder. Mion had said her grandma made a ton of them, and was told to give some out, if I remembered correctly. So that meant 4 of these were just from that large batch. Then what about Rena's? She probably only made 1. So she probably spent quite a bit of time on it. Meaning that the one Rena had made was this one. E. For a moment I thought it may have been a trap Mion laid as she knew I'd pick up on it, but that probably wasn't the case. I wouldn't be so sure if I knew Mion had made it. but since she said Rena made it, it probably wasn't a trap. Alright, my tea is ready to go. I'll start with the defending champ Mion's grandma. Let's see. Hey Flap, what's up? How you doing? Welcome to Hinamizawa. We're playing Higurashi no Nakakoro ni. It's quite fun, quite fun. You've missed some quite exciting parts so far. Right now, we are currently trying to see if there's a difference between oh, good. Just hopping into your stream after checking out Daniel's. Oh, cool, cool. Yeah, thank you for stopping by. But we're trying to figure out who made which mochi, and 4 of them are made by Mion's grandma, one of our friends, and the other is supposed to be made by Rena, another one of our friends. Do you know anything about Higurashi? What does those mean? What? Seen bits of the anime? Alright, cool. So far, it's been pretty good, pretty chill. Just like slice of life. Just hanging out with friends. We're new to Hinamizawa. Although we found out that there's a mystery going on where every year for the past like 5 years now, on the night of the Watanagashi festival, one person dies and one person goes missing. And yeah, we knew, at least we met the 2 people who it happened to this year. We had only moved here like last month or so. But yeah, some interesting things are going down. But it's just a mystery. Right now, let's just see if we can figure out which one's which of the mochi. I've watched all of the anime, but I've wanted to play like the games for a while after I found out they were made from a visual novel. But yeah. Not bad. The smooth bean paste and soft, chewy texture left little to be desired. The tea I drank afterwards also accentuated the experience. This was an exquisite piece of work. Now, how about Rena's? The creation was so delicate, one would think it was a high-class Japanese dessert. Since I normally had quite the appetite, I was slightly worried about the size of the portion, but, well, first, a bite. This was quite a difficult one to judge, actually. The ingredients were exactly the same, so there was little difference in flavor. What was actually different was how it was shaped at the end, so it was to be expected. So the deciding factors would be presentation and volume. The well-formed and well-sized champion versus Rena's the challenger, the size you just couldn't get enough of. I'd only had one bite of Rena's. I would probably have to wait until after I was done eating to make my decision. Maybe there was something hidden inside that could cause an upset. Chew, chew, Seems my prediction was right. My tongue touched something. It didn't feel like something edible, so I reached in with my finger and grabbed it. What? What was this? Before I could fully comprehend what it was, I threw away the rest of the mochi I was eating as fast as I could. It slammed against the wall, causing the bean jam to splatter. Then after sticking for a moment, it slid down to the floor. I was dumbstruck by my own actions. What was I doing? Rena had gone out of her way to make it for me. How could I? Dumbstruck, I looked down at the hand that performed such a vile act. Then I remembered what I had taken out of my mouth. At first, I thought it was just a hair. Even though it was shorter than Mion's, Rena's hair was still quite long. And it wasn't this short. It was also a bit too hard to be hair. It was thick enough to roll around on my tongue. There was a bit of a metallic sheen on one end of it. Ah, yes, there was a hole for where thread goes like. It was a sewing needle. Yeah, that's right. It looked very much like a sewing needle. Exactly like one. The end was pointed as well, quite sharply. It really did look like just a sewing needle. Huh? What did I mean by looked very much like a sewing needle just a bit ago? I couldn't answer, but a voice inside me already knew, and let me know by chattering my molars together. I couldn't stave off the terror welling up inside me. Suddenly, I tasted something metallic and felt a prickling pain at the back of my throat. I stuck my finger in the back of my mouth and felt around to see if I was bleeding. Suddenly, I felt the urge to vomit. The sharp taste of bile irritated the back of my throat. I collapsed, both hands over my mouth, and after writhing in agony, I was somehow able to hold back the nausea. I was finally able to hold breath normally again, or breathe normally again. But this time, my heart was intensely throbbing. Then, it finally registered. Exactly what was mixed in with the mochi. Before I could think of the correct word, my hands were already on the move. Splat. Plop. Splort. I tossed the rest of the mochi against the wall. The geometrical patterns of the scattered bean jam on the wall suddenly invoked a terrible omen in my mind. After looking away, I dashed out to the hall and flew upstairs to my room, where I stayed underneath my covers until morning. I clutched my own shoulders, howling madly in a mix of fear, anger, and sadness, and frustration. This wasn't a threat or warning or reminder. Nothing as simple as that. What had happened in Hinamizawa? What is happening in Hinamizawa? What would happen? I didn't know the answer to any of those questions. Was there glass in it? No, there was sewing needles. In the mochi. Where did I break a taboo? Regardless, now Rena and Mion, and others, they consider me an enemy. And they thought I should just die. I won't let you kill me. Not for such a pointless reason. I fell into a restless sleep as I was crushed by my negative emotions. It was as if I was being drawn into a billowing, bottomless marsh. I. That's not concerning at all. Just friends bringing you some food and ooh, what's a medicine that makes you commit suicide? And threat? Some new tips. Ha! Achievement unlocked, hard to swallow. Hey, what's up, Dyer? How you doing? Few new tips. Please don't be an auto one. Let's cut to the chase. Is there a drug that causes someone to kill themselves? Not directly, no. That's quite a roundabout response. You're saying there's one that does it indirectly? Something that puts you into a suicidal mental state like that? That's hard to say. What would a suicidal mental state be? Good. Good. You've missed some pretty interesting things so far. Well, I guess, at the very least, mildly interesting. There's just some tidbits going on. Like a person with a serious bipolar disorder. It's believed that people are most likely to attempt suicide when swinging from depression to mania. Yeah. Clinical depression and bipolar disorder are different. Clinical depression indicates a prolonged state of depression, whereas bipolar disorder is characterized by a passive depressive state, accompanied by a very active manic state. Like what? So let's see. So we're talking to Rena at the beginning, and oh, hold on. Yellow. Streaming right now. Who? No. I mean, I haven't caught all their names, so I don't know. Do what? You wanted me to know? Oh. Okay. Okay. Hmm. Ready to? Bye. Okay, that was random as fuck. Sorry about that. Mom decided to call me, asking me about someone I don't fucking know who. Maybe one of my bosses at work? I have honestly no idea. Anyway, where the fuck was I? Sorry. Low-key forgot. Oh yeah, I was talking about what you'd missed so far. Uh, yeah, we were talking to dinner, and we tried to bring up like what they were hiding from us, and she kind of got a little scary. And then from there, it turns out we're sick. We stay home from school, go to the doctor, then we meet up with Oishi-san for lunch. We talk more about what could be going on with. Oh yeah, hold up. I forgot something. Before we skipped school because we were sick, that the night prior, we were on the phone with Oishi-san and talking about how we figured out that there's the possibility that Oyashiro-san was cursed, and what's called the Onikakushi happens every year at the same time. So Oyashiro-san was cursed, and the Onikakushi, which is being demoted away. So there's every year there's one person that dies and one person that vanishes, like disappears. And we're talking on the phone with them for a while, and it turns out afterwards we find out that Rena had stopped by our house, and apparently apparently it's just like she stood outside our door for the entire time, for like over an hour, and just listened in on the conversation. What does the drug sound like? While you tell me that, I'll continue. And then after that, that's when we skipped school, went to the doctor, had lunch with the Oishi-san, talked to some more about him. We learned about some stuff about the past of the other characters and how they're like connected. Sayori. That's the drug's name? Okay. But yeah. And then we get home, and that's when Mion and Rena show up to give us the mochi. And they make a little game out of it. And there's 5 of them. 4 of them are made by Mion's grandma, and 1's made by Rena. And we got to tell which one was made by Rena. And the one that we thought is made by her has sewing needles in it, or had, and we flip out. You're fucked up. Good for you. Anyways, with that, we'll continue with the tips that we've got. Individuals with clinical depression suffer from low esteem or self-esteem and are quite pessimistic, but rarely commit suicide. They do not have the willpower to commit suicide, nor does mania on its own lead to suicide. It has an opposite effect, filling the person with confidence and making them feel as though they're walking on air. Thus, they do not commit suicide. That's interesting. Neither state causes suicide, but when the condition changes, they might do so? There is a desire to commit suicide when in a state of depression, but they do not have the willpower to commit suicide in such a formidable act. Or they do not have the willpower to commit such a formidable act, but when they enter mania, they gain a burst of willpower, their body moves as they desire. I see. So it means they gain the willpower to commit suicide? That's how it goes. That's why patients are given sedatives during that time to keep them from acting on their impulses. Then was Tomitake-san bipolar? People who suffer from bipolar disorder generally commit suicide by more civilized means. Like, say, hanging or jumping off a building. Self-harm self-harm as though going through withdrawal is completely different. Tomitake-san's wasn't civilized, so no one would think it was caused by some foreign substance. As I said from the start, tell me of a drug that causes someone to commit suicide. There were reports that methamphetamine overdoses produce a condition that resembles bipolar disorder. It's a stimulant. Barbiturate overdoses are also reported to cause erratic behavior. That's a sleep aid. There were no signs of stimulants. Are there any other possibilities? All I can think of is that it's some sort of illness. Something like Graves' disease, which affects the thyroid and is known to cause symptoms that resemble bipolar disorder. But Graves' disease has many characteristic symptoms of its own. The deceased exhibit none of them. I wonder if there's something that could happen more spontaneously. Something that fits this case and would cause someone to want to commit suicide all of a sudden. Are you familiar with the organic mental disorder? Or are you familiar with organic mental disorders? In short, it's a condition where the brain is out of whack due to physical injury or illness. It can be caused by drugs, but can also be caused by physical trauma. Encephalitis, a stroke, or even tumors. Basically, even without a drug, one can succumb to an irregular mental state. The deceased was surrounded after being chased, and his life was in danger, right? All that stress could have messed with his brain chemistry. He could have hit his head, and those factors combined might have caused him to mutilate himself. It's a possibility. Could you explain it to me in a simpler term? Basically, he knocked his noggin in the brawl, and that made him go haywire. Then this lady didn't have any intent to kill. Just smacked him in a bad place when he nicked some change. The two plump men laughed hoarsely. But of course, it's not like that. So when I'm getting that life story? I mean, I can tell you here. I can tell you a joke instead. If you want to sit down, then I'll tell you my life story. I did that so poorly. I can usually set that one up so much better. But, oh well. I mean, you're always free to ask questions and shit, and I can answer them. But, I'll take a joke. The joke was my life story. That, like, it was like, I'm gonna tell you a joke, so sit down. I'm gonna tell you my life story. Like, my life story would be the joke. Yeah, I set it up and did it badly. I can usually set it up a lot better. Because usually what I do is, like, I tell a few jokes, and I'm like, you ready for another joke? Sit down, it's gonna be a long one. They're like, I'm like, it's my life story. And then, like, that's the joke, but, yeah. I usually set it up like that, but yeah. That time it just flopped. Anyways, but of course, it's not like that. Undoubtedly. If it was habitual drug use, if it was something mental, the deceased body holds the key. How are things on your end? Oh my goodness, look at the time. I need to get going soon or Kuma-chan will get angry with me. Yeah. Good luck. Best wishes. Best wishes. You have Minecraft Java? I do. I've actually been thinking about having like so for like my streams and stuff, I like having a schedule of like what I stream. So like Mondays be like Minecraft Mondays or something like that. And like in the morning I've got like my own survival world or something like that. And then like in the evening I either do like another game, or I do like go onto like a different server for Minecraft or something like that. And then other days, like, I don't know, just like have some maybe specifically for whichever light novels I'm playing, and then maybe have a day where, because I want to get into the Doom DLC that's come out, but I want to stream it and all that stuff. But I kind of don't want to wait till I'm done with Doki Doki and Higurashi, but want to join my server? Maybe. I don't know. At the moment, I was thinking of just like starting my own like survival world and like start a series on that. Although I've been kind of interested in like a server or something like that, because I love. Do you know the My Night series from Captain Sparkles? I love that shit. And then also the Dream SMP stuff. That shit's cool. I don't know. I just love it. But so yeah, I'll definitely think about it. Ah, on to tip number 2, threats. Herm? Those guys just now. They had national diet badges. Rip Lamberg. Oh, have you seen the animatics from Sadists? Or Sadists? I fucking love them. Like, they're fucking epic as hell. Oh my god. Like, I've not been able to, like, completely follow either My Night or Dream SMP, but, like, the animatics are fucking great. Then it's Prefectural Assembly member and City Councilor Sonozaki. That's interesting. The Prefectural Assembly member and City Councilor are related. It's dirty is what it is. Shouting out each other's name during elections. While one is up for election, the other one holds an assembly, and they double up their campaign activities. Yeah, Donna 16 cuts. I know, right? I mean, all of them are, but like the new, like they just keep getting better and better. Like the animation quality, music, shit, fucking great. Oh, I love it. Double their campaign activities blatantly. I don't know much about this stuff, but isn't that against the rules of the election? As long as they have no prior consultation, there are no restrictions on their political activities. Kumachan, the investigation division is going to be pretty tough for you. You should at least brush up on election policies. I'm not suited for the intelligence division, because I'm dumb. There was Prefectural Assembly member of Sonozaki's and City Councilor Sonozaki. Also, the mayor of Hinamizawa. All of them involved with the Sonozaki family. What crap. Looks like they were seen off by the department chief and the deputy chief. They came to me. Alright, well I gotta go stream. See you later if you're streaming. Alright, peace. I'll be streaming for probably like maybe another hour. But, or maybe whenever this chapter ends. Because I think I'll have done 3 by then. But yeah. You have fun. Good night. That night, when the chief invited me along to get some Odin, I thought that was it. Or Udon? Odin? You have a lot of connections, so you might have heard something. Did you? Nope. Not a thing. Ma'am, I'll take a tofu fritter and fish cakes. The counselor barked at me and the police chief instead. Oh my. Is that so? Ma'am, I'll take another bowl. Prefectural Assembly member Sonozaki and City Councilor Sonozaki were both intimidating. Our snot-nosed career police chief couldn't even handle being yelled at by them. They're like Yakuza. A petition with your name came up regarding how the investigation of the Hinamizawa incident is being handled. Goodness me? I've not the faintest. No need to play dumb. You're reopening the past cases regarding Hinamizawa, aren't you? I already got my hands full with Tomitake's death, actually. Nah, haha. Really? If that's true, then there's no problem. There was a period of silence. While we were silent, we made headway on our food and drink. Whew, that was quite the feast. This month has been a bunch of losses for me, so my wallet was feeling the pinch. Much appreciated. Nah, it's nothing. Tell me a good horse story again. Or tell me a good horse again. Huh? I'll bet on the same one as you. Oh, okay. Nah, I haven't been doing well there lately. I haven't been able to read the horses at all. Taxi! I'm going by train. The police chief is taking a taxi. I have my own car, but it'll be a rash to drive it home. Can't blow it right before the retirement with a DUI. Even though he could still rattle off, it looked like his legs were already goo. Pushing him on into the cab, I gave the driver the police chief's address. Well, see you again tomorrow. Happy New Year. Oishi-san. Yeah. The past incidents have all been closed. Stop lumping them all together. Those villagers half believe it's really a curse. Well, I'm not convinced. You're going to be retiring next year, aren't you? Weren't you going to pay off your mortgage and your pension and move up to Hokkaido with your mom? Mother pines to return to the land of her birth. It's the least I can do. And the pension, well, it'll let me enjoy myself in Susukino. Susukino. The police chief may issue a special retirement salary raise, he says. A public servant's pension is calculated based on their monthly salary. So if you were to get a raise right before retirement, your bonus, 2 years' salary, would be inflated. And you'd get a heavy surplus of funds. That tends to be how it's done around here. Of course, it's not a custom that's thought of highly. The difference between the bonus and the pension is quite a bit. I'd expect nothing less exemplary from our egghead chief, but, well, they say our salary is compensation for our hard work, but in the end, it really just has to do with the passage of time. That's not something I can laugh at, but I'll laugh through it anyway. I don't think it's anything exemplary, but given how hard you've worked, it's not odd that you're getting that much of a pension. I'd like to get that much myself. If I can get it, well, of course I'd want it. You'll get it. You're an adult after all. Sorry for holding you up here, driver. Thank you very much. I closed the door roughly, and interrupting the chief's conversation a bit rudely. It looked like the chief still had something to say, but he just smiled wryly and waved. I waved in return. The cab sped up gradually and soon disappeared among the sea of lights. Oh man. I wonder if I really can repay that loan. Huh. I'm gonna be honest, I'm kind of confused by that one. But, oh well.